Tell us about who you are, what you do, the things you love, and the things that make you you.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for the invitation. Sincerely, this is what I love to do. As you all know, my name is Tope Abiara, Pastor Tope Abiara, I am a professional manager, family counselor. I love to give, as in not necessarily in giving, funds. I mean, of course, I do that too. I do outreaches. I do have a nonprofit. But when it comes to giving myself in a service, like just be there, be able to help you to God, to guide you and, on your way and all of that, it's what I take pleasure in. So I do mentorship. I do the counseling with marriages, with relationship, any aspect with raising family. I'm into all of that.
So tell us about your journey to the diaspora or your journey to, the abroad. How did that go for you and what was your transition process?
All right. So I was a teenager when I came. I came with my parents. My father of blessed memory right now, we were very close, very, very close. So with my name being Tope, my dad, I remember when we were, planning to come, my dad was telling me, oh, when you get there, they're going to call you Tope, Tope, like just make it, like how you're going to be so cool and all of that. And you're looking forward to it. And then we got here. When we got here, we got to New York.
Yeah.
New York. We went straight to New York. And oh my goodness, New York. All right. Where are you though? Where are you located?
PA.
Oh, okay. Pennsylvania. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been to New York?
I have.
Okay. How do you like it? Okay. Well, this was off of Flatbush in Brooklyn. Yeah. So, and that was like, it wasn't like what I kind of had an expectation of. Not necessarily. I mean, it's the United States and it's lovely and, it's definitely different, but having to adapt, it's not where you're coming from. It's not Nigeria. It's not where there's a lot of like differences and you have to like try to going to school and all of that. But one thing is having your family. Like I cannot imagine, like I would never advise anybody to send a child up here, like a young child, without the parents, without the family. I think that is, no matter what an opportunity it is, no matter how, what you feel like, oh, wow, this is a big opportunity for you. I feel like if you send that child here, a child that is younger than 18, at least younger than 18, without the parents, please don't do it. Don't. Because having that structure of a family helped us, and when I'm saying us, I'm talking about my siblings and, and myself, because when you go out and you encounter different stuff going on outside and all of that, by the time you get back home, you have people to share your thoughts with. You have people to share your days with, like, okay, this is what went on. Okay, you have people to encourage you and be like, okay, don't let that bother you. Don't, you have that. You have people that make part of your identity to be with you along the journey. So I was blessed with that. And, I truly appreciate that. So that was it, coming to the United States. And that was about 25 years ago now.
Wow.
How time flies. I'm telling you.
Wow, how time flies. You did say something about family structure. I definitely agree with that and how it impacts children. But I do have a different perspective about the age part. So I came to the US by myself. Well, my dad dropped me off at 16. And yes. And I mean, this was many years after you came in. So I'm sure there have been changes in the system. But I do think that over how old the child gets to the US, what matters even more is how the child is raised and the strength of the bond they have with their family, right? Like, I spoke to my dad twice a day for like the first year of my time in the US. And, my mom, of course, they called me all the time. We are very close in my family. And I think that ended up, even though they were not here with me, I think it was a huge part of how I stayed grounded, to who I was, and, kind of grew through for the past 12 years that I've been in the US. So, sometimes it's not easy because parents do want a better life for their children. And I don't know, like the complexity that comes with moving abroad. It's not all the time that parents can move with their kids. And it's like if a child gets a full scholarship like I did to study at a good university, you're not going to hold them back because you can't go with them. So maybe the family bond is the most important thing, and how that is structured and how you still keep that strong, nurturing, loving relationship with your child, whether you're with them physically or whether you're far away from them. So that would be my perspective on that. But I think all that you said is spot on because family is very important in kind of helping you grow into the person that you want to be.
Well, definitely. And I do like your testimony. I like you sharing that. And I wanted to ask, so you went to school and stayed in school without knowing anybody and
Yeah, so I mean, knowing people is kind of something you use loosely. Of course, my parents had friends in the US. And so if I needed help or if I got into any issues, there were people I could pick up the phone and call, right? That would help me. But I wasn't living with anybody. I was living on campus by myself. I was not, I was planning my expenses by myself. I got a job the next semester. I was responsible for myself. But I did have a very strong connection to my parents that it didn't feel like they were far away. I was always talking to them, always sharing with them. And I think that the value for me was that they had cultivated that with me before that point. So I wasn't starting in America, for example, to form a close relationship with my parents. It was something that I had so that while I was far away, I could still lean on that to get the support that I need. And I didn't need, I had people, I'm not going to say that I was by myself. It was the international student community. There were Nigerians around, Orangeburg, South Carolina. There were people who were mentors and people who I could lean on or talk to or ask for help. But I don't know that they were parents, or that structure, because that I had in another way. Even though it was far away, it was strong enough and good enough for me. And so what your advice is to parents is very important. Start early to build that relationship. Because then when that child moves away from you, whether it's at 16, 17, 18, or 25, you've done the groundwork, to make that child, a solid person. And you're not worried about, starting at that point to then start building that in that child or that person.
And most definitely, I've seen people send over 14-year-old. I would not for a 14-year-old. At 16, what I've come to understand on this, professional experience and, being here is that by the time you're getting towards 16, 17, there's that you're able to still uphold the values that you're bringing from back home. But at 14, the pressure is too much.
The child is young.
Yeah, at 14, most definitely. I've seen that. And with that, to me, I feel like that's kind of dangerous because, but I've seen parents try to, tell the child okay, just stay there and all of that. But at that time, you still need that nurturing and everything. Mm-hmm. At 16, 17, you're already feeling like, even if you're still in their household, there's still something in you that's feeling like, oh, I can do this, I can do this. And also, so definitely, I do agree with you.
Awesome. Yay. Okay. So the next question is, in terms of an identity, what does that mean? What does that mean to have an identity, or what does it constitute? What's included in it?
All right. An identity can be defined like a self-representation of your culture, mm-hmm. of the way you're raised, mm-hmm. It's who you are when it comes to terms of your values, mm-hmm. right? It could be in any manner. It could be your beliefs as well, your mode of dressing, your mode of talking, it's everything that defines you. that makes you you. And we gain this through our upbringing and also our experiences in life. Like what you go through in life shapes who you are, your personality, your identity, and also the way you were raised. Like you are right now, the way your parents have, raised you with that bonding, it has made up who you are. And it's something that you are hoping to uphold, like as you're going forth, also to transfer it to the next generation. That's an identity. That's who you are, so it's a separate self-representation of your culture, of everything about you.
I like how you put it. I really like your definition. It's like this coming together, like who you are as a person with like multiple things contributing to it. I really love it. And
Thank
so
you.
the next question is, you came into the US, young. And
Right.
that's also an impressionable age. And you have grown to be this wonderful, beautiful woman who still holds strong to, her identity as a Nigerian, her identity as, an African woman, what that means to you. And also you still stay very connected to home in the way that you can. So what are some things that helped you do that? And what do you recommend for people who are just coming in already here, who are trying to also accomplish that?
The thing with that is, I would say that definitely my parents, they sowed that seed. It was like on getting here to the United States, even when it comes to like in the house, we had to keep on speaking Yoruba, as the main language.
Yeah.
Even though we would go outside, and like it's all of this stuff you still have to, and even the church that we were going to, it was like it's a Nigerian church, and it's actually from the church that I got to meet my husband, through that. So it's a way. So it's all the things that it's when you're coming to a new land, you're going to the diaspora. It's about what you hoping to achieve. You get it? Like not losing that sight, not losing the focus of what you're trying to do. So my parents, when, getting here and they, still trying to raise us in that manner, it actually was something that was, of course, as a young person, you would probably want to be more to the American side because, American people, it's kind of cool. You get it? Yeah. But then you always have the parents that are like bringing you back to the culture. Like, no, you're Nigerian. Hey, don't forget that. Don't forget that. So, so every time you're going towards that, wanting to be more like, like towards that, they will, sit us down and we'll watch TV together. You will hear the news and you will see the crime on the news for you to remember that, listen, remember where you're from. Don't misbehave. Like all of that, they reiterated onto us, helped a whole lot. Sincerely, it helped a whole lot. That's why I say it's good to have that. Sincerely, that was my experience. And for me, if people don't have a family here, like you right now, I really think what's helping is like a social circle, like the whole international association, like with the school. Because even when I was going to school, I also joined with the African Student Union. And like I was saying, I mentioned the church as well. So in every aspect, like whatever association that would help uphold your personal values, don't lose sight of that. Yeah. When you move close to anyone that would, help you lose sight of your personal values, that would take you away from what you already uphold in high esteem, then you need to detach. But when you get close to but when you see somebody that kind of like is similar, that have similar values to what you have, then you move closer to such, because that will help you, because when you're in this land, it's like you're a minority. So you need that support. You can't do it alone, so you need the support of the people that are in similar shoes to you, to where you are. So you both, you can have similar solutions to whatever issues, challenges you may be faced with.
Yeah, I really like that. I really, really like that. And I think in my own experience, and I'm not sure of when did the switch happen mentally, but I just resolved in my mind that I was always going to be Nigerian. The way I talk, the way I dress, like I'm not trying to have an American accent. Like I'm just not. Like I was going to really like hunker down in this person that I am and be proud of this person that I am, right? And what you said about community is also very important. Like the International Student Organization, the Nigerian friend groups, those were very also important. I also ended up going to like a Nigerian church, I think, for the last 2 years of my undergrad. And I could see how like that was really helpful in strengthening that identity, because it's like you have a week maybe filled with different experiences and activities, and then you come to church on Sunday and you can speak Yoruba to somebody, or speak Pidgin to somebody, or speak, the language that you're comfortable with. Or, there are people that their accents will switch to the deepest Nigerian accent ever once they're around.
Actually, with all activities, I think I actually know people that would, when they get to this land, they would sit with the American show and sit down all day, all night, and just keep repeating, so they can have that switch, but you got to be comfortable in your skin. That's what I was saying. You got to be comfortable in your skin, because there's going to be a whole lot of stuff that's just want to swivel you away from your belief, from your values. So if you already made up your mind, and that's when I was talking about the age aspect, you've got to get there mentally first. Because if you're not there mentally, and when the whole thing comes at you like a flood, you get confused. As I've seen it, I've seen people end up in prison. I've seen people dead. I've seen someone that was killed over $20 because of the wrong circle of friends that he was moving with. So I've seen it, and it's all because that identity crisis, because you became confused. They became confused. Like, okay, I'm coming from this place. I'm here now, and all these amenities, everything is good, and you start to question what you were raised with. You start to question your values. You start to question. You're wondering, okay, are these not people? What's the big deal? Why can't I be like them? Why can't I dress like them? And you're looking for that acceptance, and you want to be accepted. And because of that, you start to model them, what they, whatever they're doing. People take guns to school, just because your friend said take a gun to school, and you couldn't say no because you want to remain friends with that person. Do you understand me? So that get people into troubles, or even like in marriages, whereby you kind of feel like, okay, I have the power as a woman. I have the power. So if I don't want you anymore in the house, I don't want you anymore in the house. You don't even have to do anything, and just that's because you see others doing it as well. Not even, I know there are different issues that could be the challenges faced in the marriage, but I'm talking about people whereby it's not like there's really like something that is that of, it's more like, okay, I just want to be like everybody else, and just say, okay, I'm no longer interested. I'm putting you out of this house. But that shouldn't be you. That's not the value from where you're coming from. So all of that, it kind of just takes you off the path, I've seen it several times over the years. And I know that you know what I'm talking about. You've been here 12 years. You've seen it. You know it. So, if care is not taken, stuff will happen.
I hear you. And you're right. I definitely saw that. I've seen that play out multiple times when people come in and, really in effort or trying to assimilate, they completely lose their way. And it becomes, honestly, a tragedy to everybody. The community here, family back home who are rooting for them to be successful, and, so many other things. So you are very spot on. And I think you also raise another point that is very important. And I wish a lot of parents will watch this live video, because we're saying a lot of things that really should start at the foundation more than at the time when this person has already entered the plane and is already in the US or wherever else in the country. That how you introduce that child, or how you help that child find who they are, how you make them proud of their identity, how you do things to really ground them in who they are, and what they what they interpret as themselves, and their environment will go a long way when they are far away from you in keeping them in check. And this is not like, I do believe that when you also come to a new place, you experience a new place, you learn new things, you get positive things from the environment. And there are a lot of positive and amazing things about being in the US, for example, which is where the both of us are. So this is not and I've seen this happen, and I think it's also unhealthy. I'd like to get your opinion about that, where people come in and they don't even try. All their friends are Nigerian. They go to a Nigerian church. Their communities are Nigerian. They don't even make an effort. They eat Nigerian food. If you take them out to a restaurant that is not remotely what they are used to, they look like fish out of water. Like, they are not making any effort whatsoever to adjust to a new country. We're not saying do that. We're saying instead align yourself with people, places, and communities that align with those values you have already identified as your own, that already speak positively to who you are and what you want to achieve and where you want to go. Do you want to add anything to that point about just...
Well, I cannot even imagine the frustration of that. Like trying to make it. I don't know. Like, how can you? But you're right, though. You're right. We have people like that, and it's a mean justice. That's stressful.
Mm-hmm.
That's stressful. Sincerely, like, be open-minded.
Yeah.
Be open-minded. We have it doesn't necessarily have to be all Nigerian, like everything Nigerian. Like, you're in a new land, and there's so many things. Like, it's a land of opportunities. Sincerely, like, it's a land whereby that's offering you something that so many things that you couldn't get where you were born. And so, yeah, like, it's great. I have many American friends. Like, yeah, it's totally cool. And the thing is, they also like to be friends with us. Like, it's totally cool as long as you can, like, even you have people that are not Nigerians, that are Americans, African Americans, or whichever, but they also want to associate with you because their values are similar to yours, even though they've never stepped out of this country.
Yeah.
So it's totally okay. It's totally fine to be open to having such friendships. Sincerely, it's okay. As long as you're able to keep, yourself in check, keep track of everything. And I think it's totally okay. I don't think it's even mentally, I don't think it's quite all right to be stuck up on everything Nigerian. I think, come on now. Like, it's a land of opportunities. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Like, no, that's being too uptight. Definitely be I think with time, maybe such an individual will still change, but you never know. You still have them, and they will go to Nigeria like 5 times a year.
Yeah. It's like, why did you bother moving? Just stay home. Like,
yeah. So yeah, definitely. So, but each individual has their own,
exactly. To each their own.
Yeah, but yeah, be open. Yeah.
That's true. And to everybody watching us or who will watch us who is not Nigerian, we are using Nigeria because that is where we are both from as a reference point. So please don't feel like this is specific to people who are Nigerian or from African countries. This is for everybody who is an international student. And just because Nigeria is our home, that's why we're making reference to Nigeria.
Thanks for saying that.
Absolutely. Now, let's imagine somebody has moved and they are going through an identity crisis and they don't know or they don't recognize it or they don't know what to call it. How would you describe an identity crisis either means or looks like?
Well, I would say it's when you get to a point whereby you're questioning your moves, like you're about to take a step. And there's the question, should I do it this way, which is the way that you've been brought up, compared to the way that whereby the new knowledge that the new way that you discovered. So now you're confused and you're questioning your values, whereby you're thinking to yourself, which one should I go with? Like, okay, like you were saying that you said you didn't want to change your mode of dressing and all that, but you got to that point where you had to be like, no, let me remain myself. Let me remain like this. If you had decided to change, well, nobody can.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying, but you wanted to be who you are, and you are absolutely beautiful, and you're achieving greatness. Invest sincerely. Like, I mean, I don't even, I'm not like, I may meet you on the street and not be able to tell that you're Nigerian, but you're a beautiful African American woman. You understand? Like, yeah, you carry the culture. You got this cough going on. Like, I wish I could get this guy to start going on.
Born and raised in Nigeria.
So yeah. So when you get to that point, of questioning, whereby your mode of dressing, and you like, okay, I've always dressed like this, but now I'm about to, like, I see somebody else dressing like that. And like when you cheat, that's the point of identity crisis, whereby you're romantic, you want to get into a romantic relationship. And it's like, okay, should I, who do I want to go with? Because we do get to that point of questioning, like when I was growing up, my parents said I would get married to a white person, because I've always saying I'm not marrying somebody that eats swallow every day. Like, I don't want no swallow guy. Like, I don't want that because I don't like swallow,
I mean, making them is a lot of work, let's be honest.
So, when you get to that point of questioning, whereby you're not sure which way to go, then there's an identity crisis. That's in the beginning. As you're going along, subconsciously, you would start to choose subconsciously. And at that point, whatever point you are right now, the question is, if you look back, which one, like whereby the choices, which one has been a right choice for you? Your choices that you've been making, how have they been right? I'm just going to use this an example, which, someone that I know personally close to me that decided, like having about 5 babies by different daddies. When you think back to our culture, to our values, that's not what you were. But when you think to the culture of this land, that's totally. So with that's an identity crisis. Like, okay, you're not sure which one to go with, and then you don't know when your mind will start to make this subconscious choice whereby you're just starting to pick on it. So when you get to that point of questioning, when you get to that point of confusion, like a bit confused, like whereby you see that, okay, you know what, you're starting to feel like, why am I being loyal to my country that did not provide the right amenities for me? You step out here, you don't even have to go on vacation to enjoy the beautiful scenery outside. You don't have to, like, you've got power 24/7. You've got good roads. You can drive for 12 hours without a bump on the road. Like all of that. And you start to question, like, okay, so why do I want to, like, please tell me. You start to question everything that you've ever believed. about where you're coming from. And you're thinking to yourself, like, okay, so what's bad about this place? You see people dressed, and all that and all of it. And you think to myself, why can't I dress like this? And at that point, there's the identity crisis that you're going through.
You touched on so many different things. The only thing I'll add to what you said is I think an identity crisis starts when you start to see yourself, your background, where you grew up, your cultural values, those things that contribute to who you are. Once you start to see them as inferior and somebody else's culture, somebody else's way of life as superior, that's when you actually are going through an identity crisis. And this is not the same thing as growing. You should come, I don't know whatever age you come, but I certainly am not the same way I was at 28 as I was at 16. Mentally, behaviorally, I have grown, hopefully for the better. I have changed. Some of my views have evolved. I think those things are normal and part of the growth process. But there has not been one time, for example, where I thought like my Nigerian way of doing things was inferior. Like, for example, the day I took beans sangari to work. Like, it was another day. That's what I wanted to take. I microwaved that in the staff room.
What did you take to work?
Beans. Porridge beans. I microwaved it in the staff room and I went back to my office.
Girl, I took pala to work. Pala, stockfish. And that smell.
The whole place.
Okay.
But it's like those differences, the foods that make you, your language, the music you enjoy, the things that are values, and this differs from person to person that are important to you, right? Those things that you have grown to appreciate and love about yourself, the moment you start to see those things as inferior and prefer somebody else's way of life, somebody else's food, somebody else's way of living as superior, or consider that superior to yours, then you are definitely going through a crisis. So thank you so much for your input on that. The follow-up question, or the next question right after that, is once you identify that, what are some steps you can start to take to resolve that crisis or to kind of get back to yourself and who you are?
Well, there are four according to acculturation for psychology, right? Well, there are four basic strategies that you can use. There are four strategies that you can use, right? And I'm going to name them assimilation. Assimilation, that's you taking it in, right? And then followed by separation, being able to separate both, okay, this to the side, this to the other side. Then there's integration. And integration is the aspect whereby you put, okay, this is what I'm taking. And you said something about what you just said just now about okay, inferior and superior, right? Basically, when you're saying inferior and superior, that doesn't work. If something is of preference to you and is not in a way because you feel like it's inferior, then that's okay. Do you understand? Okay, I'll just go back to this. With the whole swallow situation, ever since I was younger, while in Nigeria, I didn't like swallow. So it's not because I'm in the US that I'm no longer liking swallow. Do you get it? So when it comes to your preference, it does always be your preference. It's totally, yes, totally okay. So that's the aspect of an integration. When you are able to put both together, okay, because you can have some good here that, you said you've learned some stuff. Yeah, right. So you can have some good here that you will put along with your values that you've been bringing all along and put them together. And that's the aspect of the integration. And there's now the marginalization. Marginalization is you being able to actually stay away from those that you do not want. Those that you do not want. So if you already in a crisis, identity crisis situation already right now, the best thing is to retrace yourself. your steps. Take your time to sit down by yourself. Grab a notepad, grab a tablet, and, think back. If things are not going right, and if things are going wrong, or you feel like, okay, you know what, I don't even know who I am anymore. Like, I can't tell, like, who am I trying to please? Like, why, like, when I do this, I get frustrated. Like, I'm not even happy. Like, this is not me. When it's not you, you know within yourself that this is not me.
Yeah.
And you can actually take that, take that time to be by yourself. Pray to God to help you, and you sit down and you think back. You know what? This is what I don't like right now. This is where I am right now. I don't like this about me. When I do it, I feel like, why am I doing this? I feel like, am I doing it because I want to please somebody? Am I doing it because I want them to see me like I'm up there, which you really don't need? So all of that, you can now separate. Maybe there's an identity, a value that you've lost along the way. Bring that back. Think of how you can gain that back. And think about, maybe there's an influence. There's somebody that's influencing you on taking on the aspect that you don't like. Look for a way to let that friendship, that relationship, let it go, because it's not interpreting to be who you want to be. You understand? And that will bring back the identity. But you cannot do it without the help of God, and you cannot do it without the determination. You need the determination to do it, and also support yourself with positive influence, positive towards what you want, towards that, what you're desiring, who you're desiring to be.
Absolutely. I honestly don't have anything else to add to that. That you hit all the points. Absolutely. Okay. What about emotional health? I feel like identity aligns very strongly with who we are on the inside. So our emotional and, our mental, state. So what do you think are some key things that, people should keep in mind or we should have to be emotionally healthy as immigrants and people living far away from home?
Well, as immigrant, you've got to stay positive, right? You've got to stay positive for your, for your emotional health, for your mental health. You've got to stay positive, no matter where you're coming from, no matter what your background is. Don't ever feel like you're not enough. Like you're not. Like, it's coming back to the same word, inferiority. Like, a lot of people go through that, because when you get here, and even you see some people that are from your country, and you see how well they're doing, and you're thinking to yourself, how can I get here? I want to get there. I want to become like this and all that. But everything in life takes process. Everything in life takes process. Don't skip over. Don't jump. You can't jump over it. So take your time. Take your time. Don't rush yourself. Don't pressure yourself. Don't give yourself time. The fact that you're here, which is, we're talking about the diaspora, it doesn't have to be the United States only. Anywhere you find yourself, that means a door has opened up onto you. And do your research. Don't just jump into anything. Always do your research. Always do your research about anything you're going to jump into. Do your research and take your time. Take your time. And also, don't abandon God. Don't. Regardless, we get here and we get so comfortable. And while in the midst of our comfortability, whether intentionally or unintentionally, there's a tendency to abandon God. There's a tendency to. And, always bring yourself back to know that everything in life involves God. Everything in life, even if you look around you, everything in life, it involves God. So remember that at the back of your mind. Remember that everything that as you're stepping out, as you're achieving, and don't overdo it. when it comes to your debt to income ratio, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
That's a
Please,
whole
please.
different life.
I know. Like you see all this because, as long as you got good credit, you get it. And you got a good job, you will get it. You want a mansion, you will get it. But remember, debt to income ratio, it's better. Don't spend above your means. Try your best to not spend to the extent of whereby everything every of your paycheck, every money that you don't even have anything. Like afterwards, you don't have anything, and you start to wallow in debt, and you have to work 2, 3 jobs and all of that. Always be focused, remain focused, so that you can be healthy emotionally, and watch out for loneliness.
Yeah.
Watch out for loneliness. You can get lonely. You can't get lonely. So the social circle, very important. Very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so we are coming to the end of our discussion today. Before we jump into some fun questions, we usually ask our guests like fun, lighthearted questions to end every series. What is your advice, or what are 3 things that anybody watching this should take home about their identity and staying strong in who they are?
All right. Number 1, don't feel intimidated. Don't feel intimidated. You will survive. You will survive. You will survive. Remember that. You will survive. Don't feel intimidated. Another thing that I wanted to mention, and I don't want to forget this, I'm trying not to forget, is about the laws. You are in a land that has law and order. Don't ever feel like I can do it and get away with it. Don't. There are laws. There are laws, and there's justice. Do you get it? So be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful. It's, as much as everything, the reason why everything is going on well in the land is because they got law and order.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, make sure you're well knowledgeable about the laws. You understand it? If you have child outside of marriage, there's child support. There's immigration law. There's, child protection law. You want to discipline your child, be careful. That doesn't mean you shouldn't raise your child in the right way, but at the same time, be very careful. I remember when I was working, I was working at a children's hospital as a social worker, and a woman, she was a member of my church, and brought her baby to the hospital. The baby, she has a trait of sickle cell, so the baby needed to be admitted. But she, being a strong Christian, was saying that, no, I refuse. I refuse to spend my Christmas, because it was Christmas Eve. He said, I refuse to spend my Christmas in the hospital. No, I'm going home. So she signed and discharged the child. Without, against the medical advice. So she went home. By the time she got home, she was met with the police.
Wow.
And DFACS, Department of Family Children Services, right there. And she called me, because of course she knew that was my job. And she was like, what's the matter with your people? Why are they doing this? I was like, you need to bring that child back right now. If you don't, I pray you don't end up in prison tonight. So there are laws. Always remember that, we based on our background, we may feel like, oh, I can do this. And, you can, please, that's different here. So I need you to understand that and be focused, remain focused, and, it's achievable. Remain focused.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Mrs. Tope Abiara. It was such an amazing time talking with you. I have 3 fun questions for you. So, my first question: if you could describe yourself with a food, what food would that be?
Well, I would say fried rice.
Okay.
I would
Why?
say fried rice because fried rice is made up of different vegetables and
Okay.
different spices and all of that, and come up to be a beautiful meal, a beautiful food, a very nice tasty meal. So I feel like I'm made up of different components. Like like trust me, I wear many hats. Like
Okay.
I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a pastor, I'm a mentor. Like I do many things. I have so many, like, I may get like 2, 3 hours sleep a night,
Oh, wow.
but I keep on top of what I do. I keep on top because I'm very determined. Like I'm very
Yeah.
determined. I thank God for the strength. So I feel like all of that, but I've never been asked that question. So I'm glad I'm able to come up.
I like your answer. And it really does fit. Fried rice fits for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
What current music or song is on replay for you? Whether in your car or when you're by yourself, what song do you play like just over and over again right now?
That song by Natalia Bassi, Mighty God, Ọlọ́run Àgbáyé, oh, you are
Oh,
mighty.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh yeah, you my
Yeah,
children know it. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I like that
Those are
song
different.
too.
That is it. Yes.
Okay. Last but not the least, what is your favorite item in your bag or purse?
My lip gloss. Oh
Yes.
yeah, my lip gloss. I gotta have it. I gotta have it.
Yep,
I
I
gotta have my
agree.
lip gloss.
I agree. There's no space in life for dry lips.
I know. and the weather's getting cold, so
I
yeah.
know, I know. I was just saying before you came in that this winter is not going to catch me sleeping. From face oils to moisturizer to lip, we are going to deal with it.
Right, we will.
Thank you so, so much. It has been such a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you, and thank you. And I hope
Thank you for the invitation. I really do appreciate it. It was I really enjoyed it, and I hope that I have been able to help help somebody. Like it's such you're looking for that opportunity, and the opportunity come, and it's one area that you don't think about,
Mhm,
but it's very important.
mhm,
It's very, very important, and I pray that the Lord will continue to meet every one of us. Every one of us. No,
mhm,
there's no somebody. No matter how long you've been in the land, we still need the Lord to be
mhm.
our strength. So thank you, though. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you to everyone who came to hang out with us today. And thank you too for those people who are going to catch the replay. It is and has been a pleasure as always. And I hope you all have a lovely weekend. Mrs Tope Abiara, I hope you also have an amazing weekend and have fun in church tomorrow.
I will. Thank you.
All right.
You too. You going?
Huh?
Going to church
Oh,
tomorrow?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you too. So you too have fun. That's what I was saying.
Bye
All right.
bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.